Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the At the Pylon podcast. This Sunday, we got Colts versus Patriots in Germany to preview. Got a lot to discuss this episode, both stuff going into the game and a lot of news happening outside the game surrounding the Patriots right now. But as always, accompanied by Chandler Betts, my name is Nick Antonakas. Chandler, how are you doing on this cold and rainy Thursday evening?
I'm doing all right. The weather is very indicative of that in Germany. Beautiful place. Same old Patriots team's going to go out there, though.
Yeah, and that's probably the most likely scenario that we'll see when it comes towards prediction time. But regardless, before we kind of dive into direct conversation about the game, we have a lot of news to discuss. Let's not waste any time. We'll start right off the cusp with JC Jackson. This week, it was announced that he won't be traveling with the team to Germany. Apparently, he needs some sort of like personal reset, was the report. Rappaport, when he first initially reported it, it was a little bit contradictive. People were thinking maybe, oh, is he injured? But it actually turned out that both he and Jack Jones were late to team curfew last week before their game against the Washington Commanders. Thus, why both of them did not start in that game, or at least have starter reps, I should say. And because of this whole outcast, ever since that not making your curfew, JC Jackson has apparently unraveled and things have gotten worse in that department, and he is not making the trip to Germany. I guess first off, Chandler, what do you think about the whole Jackson scenario? Obviously, we saw he had issues in LA, personnel issues with the whole team there. Are they reflecting back here in New England?
It seems like that might be the case. There might be something going on in his personal life that he needs to figure out. Truthfully, that is much more important than the 2-7 Patriots right now. He should be focusing on himself, and a little side benefit is that we're probably more likely to lose without him because he still is a very talented corner. He still is probably our corner one, and losing him against Pittman is going to be really unfortunate, but you have to prioritize yourself. Curfew being the reason, though, is interesting, as we talked about, both J.C. Jackson and Jack Jones. It's hard to say because we are not there, and
Yeah.
we may never be there. But you get everything that you ever dreamed for, and then this is how you handle it. It's very interesting. That's not me necessarily casting judgment, but that is something that they have to analyze.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you there, Chandler, especially, I guess, in Jack Jones's case. As far as we know, he's still making the trip to Germany. Obviously, we saw last week he played a lot less than Jackson ended up playing, which is why at the start of this whole report, I said that something else must have happened this week to kind of bring forth that unraveling to lead to Jackson not traveling to Germany. But in Jack Jones's case, he's a guy who in the offseason was going through that whole court debacle. We didn't even know if he was going to be able to play because he had the whole guns in Logan Airport thing. That, I guess, turned out good for him in the courtroom, and he still kept a spot on the team. Just to see that he was in that boat of being late for curfew is another red flag popping up on my radar, at least, that, you know, although he's still, I guess, making the trip with the team this week, some could argue that he should have been maybe in even more hot water than Jackson just because of his iffy past outside of team activities.
Yeah, I mean, there's a character question in New England, and New England has been known to take in players with questionable character, with things that were seen as making them less than desirable. And perhaps the luster of being able to fix those players, it's like I can fix her, Nick. No, you can't, Bill. You can't fix her.
Well, literally, Chandler, in a lot of cases in the past, we brought in these sort of troubled players. And for the most part, back in the day at least, it used to work out for New England.
Yep.
The first one that kind of put a halt to that was when we brought in Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Even with Brady still in the system, that did not work out well, to say the least. The guy had one game with the Pats before getting cut after the whole slew of personal issues he had
Hell of
outside
a
on the
game, though. Hell of a
it
game.
was a hell of a game. He ripped Miami
Yeah.
to shreds. It was
I
great.
know.
But regardless, it's going to be pivotal in terms of New England's quarterback room to step up in terms of JC Jackson not being present in Germany. But going along now to some other players that may or may not be playing in Germany that are not based off, I guess, personal issues. Trent Brown, he didn't participate in practice yesterday. He's dealing with an ankle injury, but actually also it was listed as a personal reason that he wasn't doing it. And you added that he's officially
He was
out now for the
officially ruled
game.
out by Ian Rappaport like 15 minutes ago.
Well, this is good, Chandler. Actually, we never really do episodes at 5 o'clock on a
I
Thursday.
know. It's
The
kind
only
of
reason I'm
nice.
doing this is because I don't have my 6 o'clock class today. So this is good. We finally actually have a solid report as to
Yeah, come on.
Trent Brown is out, guys. He's out.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Woo!
Yeah, he's out. All right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
come on.
Pop Douglas, he was on IR.
Yeah.
He was limited with an ankle injury. Did you hear the word on him today, Chandler?
I
Because
haven't heard anything about him today. I did hear
yeah,
that Devontae Parker is also officially ruled out with the concussion, like we
yep.
expected. But I haven't heard anything from Pop. Limited is promising to me.
Mm-hmm.
We need him. We need him so badly.
We
You know
need
what?
him.
Maybe if he doesn't play, then Booty will finally, by default, have to be put in.
I
Or
don't know.
maybe they'll just go get like Harry Kane for wide receiver for the game instead.
Yeah, they
Just
might pull up some guys from the practice
yeah,
squad, bro. You never know.
we'll just go get like Thomas Mueller, Manuel Neuer. He even has like a broken
Oh my
leg, and he'll still probably play over
god.
Booty.
Oh my
So stupid. So stupid. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get into Booty later. But one player to move off of the injury report this week, Chandler, Josh Uche. He
Thank
came off
God.
the report. He was listed for the past couple weeks with an ankle/toe injury. He was a full participant this week. Obviously, that's a good sign when you consider New England's pass rush, that Uche will be back in the lineup and supposedly fully healthy. Now, Chandler, here comes the big
Ah,
piece of news that has come out from this past week. We saved the best for last, and it's surprising that this is already the last little bit of information because we still have a lot of time to go in this episode. That just shows
oh
how big
yeah.
of a topic this is. Last episode, Chandler, I'd say that we're pretty on the mark questioning Bill Belichick and his job security going into this week because literally the next day,
Yep.
an article broke from the Boston Globe. Ben Volen had a lot of, I guess, contributions to this whole tidal wave
He did
that
have contributions.
took over New England's fan base in terms of Bill Belichick's future with the Patriots. Now, the report basically summed up is that Kraft is, quote, strongly considering firing Bill Belichick if they lose to the Colts this weekend. Now, here's a bit of a longer quote from Ben in terms of the summary of the situation. Volan said, quote, based off my conversations, I don't think it's 100% that Bill Belichick finishes out this season. These next two games before the bye are huge, particularly the Germany game, which is practically the team's Super Bowl for the Crafts. If Belichick loses at home to the Commanders, which he did, and then to the Colts, and comes home from Germany with a 2-8 record, I think there's a chance the Crafts could make the move in the bye week and install Gerard Mayo as the interim coach for the final 7 games. Chandler, you said at the end of last episode, if the Patriots lose this week, it's a less than 0% chance that Bill Belichick gets fired. After this report, what is your analysis?
Yeah, non-zero chance that he gets fired. I think it's possible. However, I really, really don't expect it to happen. And the way that this is being masqueraded around as official reporting is just so silly to me. This is essentially like when what was the Aaron Rodgers trade rumors back in 2020, the aggregation of information or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so stupid, so much so that on the Pat McAfee show, they have an immediate contact with Tommy Curran, and he was live, so he couldn't go on the show, but he sent the Pat McAfee show a message saying that Belichick is a lame duck, but absolutely won't get fired during the season. Lame duck, of course, meaning that his fate is already sealed, but he's gonna limp through the season. There's, I just don't understand what you gain from getting rid of Bill Belichick here, except a guaranteed top 3 pick because we're not going to win another game for the season. I'm getting to the point, and we'll talk about our dream scenarios, I'm sure, but I'm getting to the point where I feel as though there needs to be a full reset in terms of the Patriot culture, because the Patriot culture, as we're seeing with curfew, as we're seeing with penalties, as we're seeing with giving up on games, as we're seeing with giving up on Mac both inside and outside of the building, There needs to be a complete overhaul here. And again, I'll give my thoughts as to who those should be in a bit. But this is just he essentially could have just asked me what I thought, and even like, oh, I've heard from people that this is going to happen. I will give him credit. This is his 10th year working at the Boston Globe, so I'm sure he has some kind of connections. But those connections definitely did not tell him that Bill Belichick is going to get fired. 100% chance, sure, there isn't a 100% chance because we stink, but it's not going to happen. If it does, I will swallow my foot if it does happen, and I will be very sad, but a part of me will cheer because I know that we will go 2-15 if he does get fired.
Well, Chandler, you put that perfectly, I will say, first off. Second off, I'm on the same boat as you. I don't think that it's a likely scenario, not even an unlikely scenario, that Belichick is fired after this week. I'm in the same boat in terms of like, I'd give it a less than 5% chance. If we go into Germany and we get smoked, and there's like some like controversy that happens during the game with Bill Belichick doing something stupid, then maybe after that, Kraft fires him. But similar to you, I just don't see it happening. And I don't think it's deserved either. As much as Bill Belichick has experienced flack from the fan base, from various analysts, everybody, people seem to be overreacting just a tad bit in terms of how much of a problem Bill Belichick is. Do I feel that the Patriot way has sort of passed its time? It's kind of expired in New England? In a way, yes. I don't think that we can revitalize what we had from 2000 to 2019 ever again with the same pieces, I should say. So I'm agreeing with you in saying that we do need a reset. In saying that, to take this coach that formated that whole culture and everything that brought us to so much victory and so much glory, to cast them out in a bye week of a regular season, when in reality, since Brady left, he's been, subpar compared to New England standards, sure, but the dude's not a terrible coach. He's like still probably like in the top half of the league in terms of coaches, just based off his intelligence. So
it's just so disrespectful as well. Imagine being the end of this dynasty. The dynasty's already over, but this being the end of the Belichick tenure, the Belichick legacy being a week 10 firing. That would be absurd and completely unthinkable. As much turmoil as we've seen in the front office, in the higher ups since really the last days of Brady before he even left, that would just be so silly. And one last thing, based on my conversations, I know I talked about how it was so silly that's such a stupid way to phrase that. That's the way to phrase that when you don't know what you're talking about. That's what you say when you're like, oh. I heard at the bar last night that this happened. No, you didn't. You just want me to answer that. That's so silly. Are we sure that conversation wasn't me jokingly saying that we don't bring Belichick back on the plane from Germany? Are you sure that Ben Vaughn isn't actually just a huge at the Pylon fan? Are we certain?
Oh, so, I mean, yeah. If he was listening last week, then we are firsthand sources. Who knows?
Exactly.
I mean, that would be an incredible feature there, and I would take away. There you go. That. The new trilogy for Patriots reporting. Rap report. Mike. Well, actually, we got to throw Mike Reese in there too. Mike Reese.
Sure. It's the
Tom
the
Curran. There we go. Four horsemen, and then at the Pylon. Sounds good to me. Now, Chandler, one thing that Volan kind of detailed on before we move into our dream scenarios that I guess he brought up, and looking at this tweet, I don't even know if it's like official reports that he has or if he's just like making a dream scenario, like what he wants to see. So I don't even know. But anyway, Kraft's frustrations, according to the article, have supposedly been kept very quiet, which I guess is apparent because we've heard nothing from him. We were talking about this last episode on Monday. If you haven't already seen it, go check it out. But we're saying, there's no flack going towards Belichick in person right now. He's basically been unscathed from direct criticism from ownership, but at the same time, he hasn't been getting any reassurance either. So his frustrations supposedly have been kept, I guess, inside of this small circle. We saw his son. Why am I blanking on his name? What is his name? Robert Kraft and who? Who's the other one?
Oh my God.
Why? I know his name.
I can't remember it either.
Kraft, Patriots. Oh, Jonathan Kraft. Jonathan Kraft.
Jonathan, yeah.
Okay. Oh God. Anyway,
Um,
Jonathan Kraft. A clip went viral of him during the Patriots game this past Sunday. Pats were up, by the way. We were up 17-10. And this dude is caught live on the feed just going, "We're not good enough." He was
yeah.
caught mouthing that clearly.
Which is he
I
wrong?
mean, no, we lost the
Exactly.
game, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong, but at the same time, it's kind of that was the first hint of like, uh-oh, management is starting to publicly express that they're not happy, even though it wasn't even in a public setting. They just happened to capture it. It seems that this pot of steam, I guess, of all these New England issues is finally starting to bubble. And in terms of dream replacements, I guess we'll move on to that now. Volan said his dream scenario for the 2024 Patriots, whether this is official reporting from his inside sources on Kraft or just what he thought of laying in bed. First off, head coach Mike Vrabel, we've heard those rumors. Bring back Josh McDaniels as our offensive coordinator, Gerard Mayo as our defensive coordinator,
Yeah.
and then Nick Caserio in the front office at the helm, along with Ziegler, Groh, and Wolf.
Yeah,
React.
and I want Pete Davidson's dating history. Like, what's the point here? I don't understand it. There's no chance that Vrabel leaves, right? Like, I'm not crazy in thinking that. Why would he? This
No
is such
way.
a less appealing job.
Unless if Kraft like pulled out the checkbook and was like, dude, like come home, take all
I
this money.
mean, like, it's not even really home for him. He played here, sure, but
Well, the only thing that makes me have like a small inkling
just the
maybe of
Hall of
this is
Fame
about the
induction.
Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah,
And he wasn't, I don't think, was he the fan voted option or was he the chosen option? I think he was the
he
fan
very
voted
well
one.
could be, but I think he was probably the fan though.
If he was the organizational chosen
He
one, then
absolutely
I would have
deserves
been
it.
like, whoa, like that's a red flag because Kraft may have, I mean, and this is to say, regardless of whether or not he was the fan chosen one or not, Kraft may have definitely been there during that weekend being like, look, man, like,
Oh, I'm sure he was.
we'll bring you in, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, if that happens, they must have been like on extremely low reps for that to not get out because that would have caught the whole world on fire if that
I
got out.
really don't think that's the case. I think that there may have been some kind of maybe in jest conversation about that, but I really don't think that's the case because look at his coaching history. He's not a Patriot coach. You typically when you have such success with a team, you coach with that team at the start. Look at Gerard Mayo. But Vrabel went immediately. I'm going off the top of my head. He went immediately to the Texans, and then to he just climbed up in the Texans, and then he became the Titans coach. Right? That's it. I think. If you want to fact check me while I continue
Yeah,
to
you continue.
ramble,
I'm fact
um,
checking you.
he's never coached for the Patriots despite having played a lengthy career, and not to mention that we did trade him, but that's a whole other conversation. He's not truly like a Patriots DNA person, regardless of him the fact that he is the quintessential Patriot. He owes us no loyalty. This isn't really his home because we never made it his home. Am I right? Did you check it?
I'm still looking. I don't know why this is so difficult to find. Okay, wait, here we go.
He was the. I know he was
Is
the
NWE
Texans.
New England? Why is that the
NWE. Yeah,
abbreviation? That's so bad.
yeah. I know. It's.
Anyway, he started in Pittsburgh from 97 to 2000.
I just mean
He
his
was with,
coaching. But yeah.
oh, in terms of
Well,
coaching,
we'll
let's
run through
see.
his whole career while we're at it. Yeah, because I know he got traded to some
Yeah, he was with New England until 2008, and then he played the rest of his career in Kansas City,
Kansas
2009 and
City. Yes,
2010. Um,
good teams.
Let me continue with the coaching one.
Yes.
Coaching career. Yeah, he was the Texans defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2018, only one season. And
Yep,
then
and
he's
he was
been
the
the head
linebacker
coach of
coach
the.
before that.
Oh, was he? Okay.
I believe so.
Google is not smart enough to know that, I guess. So Titans after that, he was
Yeah,
the head coach since 2018.
exactly. So he's never coached. He's coached for Belichick the cycle. I believe that Bill O'Brien was there at the time.
Yep.
I know that he was there. I don't know why I said believe. Um, and but he's never come home. Like he was. Is it even home then? He was
Yeah.
maybe never even offered the position.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just so silly to me because they seemingly have had a really good working relationship. But if he's never come home under Belichick, why would he come home after Belichick?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I
What
guess
he's so enticing.
what What would you give, I guess, as your dream coach to fill in for Belichick if you had to pick one now? I mean, for
Give
me, I
me
honestly can't even.
Give me Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions. He is the current hot coaching candidate. He has completely shifted around that team. He's made Jared Goff into a legitimate top 9 quarterback in the league right now, statistically and vibes wise. The run game is really strong. He has a pretty strong track record. He's been given complete control of that offense, and since he's done that, they've been excellent.
Mhm.
And that is my pick. I believe that we really do need an offensive coach in this next cycle here.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, especially considering how defensive minded we've been over literally our entire lives.
Yeah,
It would be a nice shift to have a guy like that in here. But one gripe that I have with that is, would he be able to kind of reset the culture in New England? Giving a guy like Vrabel that opportunity, not to say that this is even a likely thing of
sure.
happening. Vrabel at least has the backing of he won Super Bowls with us. He knows the crafts, whatever. So at least from like a fan perspective, you'd be able to be like, oh, Mike Vrabel, you know, he played with us. Like I can get behind him.
Of
You
course,
really think the New England faithful are going to get behind the Lions OC? I would, but
the
I don't know
faith
if everybody else is.
that's the line there. The faithful would, the fair weather fans probably won't. And New England, we are blessed with having been so successful for so long that we have so many fair weather fans.
Mm-hmm.
You ask, it's like when you see people that are like, I don't know, 50 years old in Spain. What's their favorite basketball team? It's the Bulls. What's if they're 30, what's their favorite basketball team? It's the Lakers. If they're our age, what's their favorite basketball team? The Warriors. That's just how this goes. We have been so lucky to be able to precipitate so many fair weather fans. Um, no pun intended, actually. But we're if they're gonna go, so be it. This team doesn't have the talent or the capacity to have fair weather fans at this point.
Now, Chandler, an interesting point to make as we kind of transition through this point a little bit is, although from one perspective we can look at this situation and be like, you know, Belichick, we cannot fire this guy. It would be too much of a spitting on his name and everything he's done for New England. At least fire him mid-season. That would just be disrespectful. The argument right now is that this is not even a much of like, you can't fire me mid this season. Like, at least take me to the end and then we'll settle there. The rumor right now, again, based off that Boston Globe article, is that there's a butting of the heads going on behind the scenes. As we found out a couple weeks ago, uh, I forget initially where it came from, but the Bill Belichick extension,
Rappaport, but
Rappaport,
I'll
and
continue.
it only went until next year, but it was a very lucrative contract. But regardless, he is signed through the 2024 season. Volan is saying apparently in his story, and I'll just read the quote from Savage Sports on Twitter.
Go for
He
it.
said, per Ben Volan and Adam London, he said, quote, Ben Volan believes Belichick leaked his contract details in order to send a message to the Crafts. And then here's a quote from Volan's article directly. Taken at its face, the report indicated that Belichick will be back with the Patriots next year. But two people close to the team believe the report was really Belichick sending a message to Robert Kraft and Jonathan Kraft. Don't forget that I signed a multi-year contract. If you fire me, I have a big fat buyout coming, and I intend to collect every penny. This to me is just like crazy, that if there's this whole war going on behind the scenes between Belichick and Kraft, I guess this chess move by Belichick is sort of smart in a sense, but at the same time, is he threatening to like hold the Patriots at gunpoint and be like, I'm the coach of this team until I say I'm done, and then we're just screwed forever?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna humor Mr. Volan here, and I'm gonna live in Delulu land for a second. I'm gonna live in the land of delusion. Bill Belichick is how old, Nick?
72, right?
Yeah, 71 turning 72.
Damn, I was so close.
So close. The way that a buyout works in a contract is it to get the full buyout, you can't work. Do you think that Bill Belichick's going to get fired and then not take another job? Absolutely not. I
Well, hold on,
absolutely not.
wait.
100% would.
to stick it to the Patriots, Belichick being such a stubborn guy that he is, he might hold out for a year and then come back.
You only have so many years. He's 71,
But
70,
he's the GOAT. You gonna turn away the GOAT at 73? I
I
would.
think that the GOAT might not be coaching at 73. I think he might not be coaching at 74. 73 isn't really the question. I don't think he'll be coaching at 75, let's say.
Yeah,
If you're going into a team like, let's just throw a random dart out, the Commanders, that's going to be at least a 3-year rebuild. Is Belichick going to be in a rebuild at 75 years old? That 1 year makes a huge difference. That's potentially 25% of his career remaining.
that's a good
That
point.
would be so crazy to do that. And that just tells me that Mr. Volan doesn't know what he is talking about. It's just he just spun a wheel and said, I think it'd be funny if he did that. I'm gonna talk about it now. No, like that's again, could this all happen? Theoretically, yes. That's why it's getting traction. Realistically, would it ever happen? Most likely not.
Yeah, and one last point before we move on here, because now I'm realizing how much time we spent on this
Yeah, I'm
Belichick
tired of
subject.
talking about Ben Volan. It's bothering me.
The last thing I'll say is, although that, I definitely agree with you there that this report is whole questionable. This whole Boston Globe article as a whole is questionable. But to say that it's even being discussed right now in main media and it's having so much weight to it me is just like, wow. And going into this week, considering that if this is truly the Kraft Super Bowl of the year, 2-8 New England Patriots team playing against the 4-5 Indianapolis Colts in Germany, this game holds a lot of weight to it suddenly, when before this week, I was like, I don't even want to watch this game because we suck so bad. But regardless, there must be some sort of atmosphere right now in the Patriots locker room that's already been toxic as it is, that it's probably getting a whole lot worse. But regardless, why don't we continue to try and make some light, Chandler? We'll quickly go through your rookie preview for this week. Who are you looking at in this year's draft?
Yeah, let's
Next?
do it. So we've got J.J. McCarthy right now, quarterback for Michigan. Now, as I talked about last week, Michigan has their whole sign stealing scandal going on right now, and there actually has been a new development in that's Michigan signs were potentially also being stolen. So that's a whole thing. We'll see.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. Purdue, shout out Andrew, is under some heat for that potentially.
Well, yeah, continue with the
Yes. So we've got JJ McCarthy. He is possibly the biggest riser this year thus far. He last year he was the starting quarterback in a 13-1 Michigan team. Their only loss was in the college football semifinal to TCU. Biggest game of his career to that point. He played not especially well. He had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, both of which were pick sixes. That was really bad. 51-45 loss, if I believe off the top of my head. And he did not look great. However, he's a very toolsy player. He's young. He's still only 20, I believe. And he has the potential to grow a lot. And he's shown that this year. He has a real plus arm. He has not the biggest arm I've ever seen, but it's substantial for his size. He's 6'3". He's only 200 pounds, though. He's pretty slight, and that's a big factor for him. Potential durability, especially when you look at his game, and he's very mobile. He's able to move around the pocket, but he's still willing to set his feet. He scans a lot. He has a good offensive line, but he's able to move, plant both cleats in the ground and throw off of 1 foot, different platforms, extend plays, but also just live in the pocket and create there. He has the arm talent. The biggest thing we're seeing with Mac Jones, and I actually watched some college Mac Jones back this week just to, not fall for the same tricks. And the biggest thing that I noticed is that there weren't any window throws that Mac Jones had to make. There was a lot of separation, which is what happens when the 3 best players in the field at any given point are your wide receivers. Mm-hmm. And J.J. McCarthy, while he has good wide receivers, he has the arm talent and has shown the arm talent to really sling the ball in windows and make some very impressive throws. Now, there's more to show for this season. They haven't played an especially strong team yet. This week they have Penn State, an 8-1 team that's very strong defensively. We'll see how that goes. And then, of course, they have the big game, Ohio State, at the end. and then possibly, and at this point I'm thinking likely, a Big Ten championship, and then maybe 2 games. I think that they're a pretty strong favorite as long as they don't get sanctions to win the national championship this year, largely because of JJ McCarthy.
Now, Chandler, quickly, your pro comparison, if you have one, and where you think he's going to land in terms of like what pick.
Yeah, so I've seen his draft stock be anywhere, and this is the product of being a late riser right now. He's had anything from an early second round grade, which is where we would probably take him unless we're willing to be aggressive and trade up, or I've seen him all the way up to 7. He's becoming a lot of people's quarterback 3 over Michael Penix, which I think is definitely the right decision from what I've seen thus far. But that wasn't the case about 3 weeks ago. So while Penix has been playing well, McCarthy is a toolsy player. He's the player that all of the people like me who sit on their couch and watch football are going to fall in love with. And we're seeing it now, and I don't think that this is going to be one where we get tricked. Hopefully, knocking on wood. I would love us to get him. In terms of a player comparison, I did not prepare one, but if I'm going to go off the top of my head,
there you go.
Things that I've seen, he vaguely reminds me of Kenny Pickett when he was in college, which is a good thing because he was definitely he was the quarterback of the year that season. He was the first quarterback taken. I think that his talent probably will put him around like just outside what would be the lottery in football, like a 16th to 25th pick. But depends on quarterback need. He can go all the way up to that 7, 6, maybe even. He's immensely talented. Another comparison could be I don't want to just say Mahomes because that's such a stupid one. But he moves in the pocket and he has the ability to look downfield akin to what Mahomes did in college, given Mahomes has improved leaps and bounds since he was in college. That's why he wasn't even the first quarterback taken. He was ranked by Bleacher Report as a bust, a potential bust coming out. So that's just a little tidbit about him. There are things that he does that are very impressive, and there's a reason that he is the most efficient third down quarterback in college football right now, which is something that we would love. There's a reason that he's, I believe he has the highest pass completion percentage as well. While his stats necessarily aren't that impressive in terms of the raw numbers, that's because he spent 6 weeks not having to play in the fourth quarter at all. He's willing to take himself out of games to win or not complain about being taken out of games. And he's doing this all without a truly elite wide receiver or tight end. And I think there's a lot of player in here that can be molded. This is the toolsy player that you're going to see.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And in terms of the Patriots having a chance to select him or not, we'll have to wait and see. But let's focus back to this week.
Yes.
Let's pound through the keys. I'll start with mine. First off, this is going to be a key every week until it happens. Free Kayshon Boutte. You got to play him. That's it. That's all. Play Kayshon Boutte. This will continue to be a key until he gets picked. Second off, stop playing so centered around stopping the deep ball. Now, when you're a good team, when you're vying for position, you don't want to get killed in a lot of circumstances. Of course, you don't want to have those dynamic plays happen, especially when you're facing off against dynamic teams. In saying that, that is literally all we've done this year. And sure, we haven't seen that many deep balls. And when we do see them, sadly, they do end in touchdowns for the other team. So why don't we just focus our defense more towards like getting that third down stop? Like, I'd rather us go and try to get the third down stop and give up a touchdown on that play than not go for the stop. And then they easily get a first down. And it just goes badly from there. Second off, or my last key, I should say, Mac's got to throw 3 passing touchdowns. Mac, this is one of the only circumstances this year where I feel that we'd actually be deserving of a win if he threw 3 touchdowns. If that does not happen, I don't think we deserve to win this game. But regardless, just please help me in terms of like supporting my Go Mac case and throw 3 touchdowns. Your turn, Chandler.
Okay, rapid fire time. 20 points is the first key. Patriots, how many times have we scored 20 or more points? 2 times. The Colts, how many times have they scored 20 or more points? Every single game they've played this season. They are 4-5, but they have not scored less than 20 points at all. If we want to win, we need to score more than 20 points. Number 2, no turnovers. Can't have it. Absolutely unacceptable. and we simply aren't good enough to make up for that. I think that was roughly my key last week. Third, please be healthy for this. 10 targets to Pop. If that doesn't happen, we don't have the explosion to win this game. Simple as that.
Now, Chandler, score predictions. Who do you have, Pats or Colts?
24-17. Who do you think I have? And it's not the Patriots.
It's the Colts.
Yep.
Well, Chandler, I feel like I picked 24-17 a lot this year. I was actually going to pick that score for this game, but I digress. I decided to go with something different. I picked 31-20 win for the Indianapolis Colts. Patriots are going to take another L. Regardless, it's going to be a big episode next Monday, guys. You definitely want to see what happens in terms of if, God forbid, Belichick ends up getting fired. You're definitely going to want to see that. And you're going to want to see our post-game reaction from this game. So stay tuned for that. But for now, we'll wrap up here alongside Chandler Betts. My name is Nick Antonakas. We'll see you back here next Monday.